Hello, boys and girls. Have we got? There's nobody here yet, so I'm just going to wait. I'm actually in my boudoir. The reason why my boudoir is because my mobile was about to die, so I was going to go outside, but I need to charge it up. Hello, who's here? Sonia. Prash. Hello, Prash. Rita. Hello. Hello, Lewis. Wrong. Hang on 1 second. How do I add you, Prash? Add. Give me a second. It's hey. Oh, look at you got a lovely sunset or evening set in your background, Master Prash.
It's a very beautiful sunset. Very beautiful.
I'm not unfortunately. I'm in my boudoir because I was going to go outside, but it's a bit dark outside.
Yeah.
And also my mobile was about to die, so I was a bit silly. So, guys, boys and girls, me and my lovely friend Prash, we like doing these chats because we get to integrate's the wrong word. Have a bit of community with like-minded people and finding out what you want to talk about. So if you've got any questions, please ask away and we'll endeavour to answer them. And today's scenario is setting boundaries. I certainly need to set boundaries. Do you know the biggest boundary I need to set? I'm going to put it straight out there. I share way too much. And got myself in a lot of trouble. Being a bit too honest, being a bit too trusting, being a bit of a silly boy. I'm doing that. I still do it in my 44 years of age. Sometimes I think I must grow up, and my lovely lady tells me off, and tells me off. My lovely lady tells me off, but then I've got my mate like Prash. He won't tell me off, but he also maybe you don't want to do it like that, which is a lot better way. And I listen to that actually more than someone screaming and shouting at you. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to be buddies for each other. You don't want someone to scream and shout. There is a time for that, but not very often. Normally, you don't listen to those people screaming and shouting at you. So, yeah, I share way too much, but people I hardly know. And it's almost a self-defense mechanism of insecurity. If I get it all out there straight away, they can't attack me. And I think that goes back to what we said the other day. It's almost negative self-talk, negative self-think.
Absolutely.
Hello, Barry Collins, firewalking entrepreneur. Nicola Gear, hello. Dave Conway, Penny Lane. Guys and girls, it's good to hear from speak to you. So we're talking Danny Kendricks, Thai boxing superstar. We're talking about setting boundaries. I trusted with that innocence way too many people, and I don't think that's a bad thing, but you need to learn how to protect yourself because there are a lot of scorpions out there who want to get on your back and sting you. If you know about the story of the scorpion and the frog. Hello, Mr. Frog. I want to go across the lake and I can't swim. Well, Mr. Scorpion, if you get on my back, I could swim you across the lake, but you're a scorpion. You're going to sting me and we're both going to die. Oh, Mr. Frog, come on. If I get on your back and sting you, that's going to be crazy because we'll both die. All right, Mr. Scorpion. All right, as long as you promise. All right, get on my back then. Cross it halfway across the lake. Just before he's about to drown. Mr. Scorpion, why did you sting me? I'm a scorpion. Unfortunately, there's still scorpions in life, and I get a little bit spiritual. Maybe it's sometimes I wish I'd listened to my mum and dad. Don't trust that person. They're gonna muck you up. They're not to be trusted. But you have to get stung in life sometimes because you don't listen to your mum and dad. You don't listen to wiser decisions until you've had enough pain and suffering. Ideally not, but unfortunately, what's the biggest learners in life? Pain and suffering. And then you're like, hang on. Right, I've had enough of this pain and suffering. I've been stung by way too many scorpions. What's a better way of navigating, getting on of not getting scorpions on my back and swimming across the river. I want to help as many people as possible, and I've helped them, and I've been.
Yeah.
So, setting boundaries.
It's a boundary thing. It's a boundary thing. Pain. You know, if you folks, if you've ever seen it, if you've seen animals in a farm, they have these electric wires. The electric wires are there. Some people think they're cruel, but the electric wires that they put along fences or they grow hedges, right? Those things are grown in order to establish a boundary so the animals don't go beyond that boundary. It's for the good of the animals. It's for their own good, so they don't go where they're not supposed to. They don't kind of get, you know, accidents where they're not supposed to do. And so just like there are boundaries set by farmers in rural areas for the animals to keep them safe, we being animals, ultimately, you know, evolved animals, of course, still need those boundaries. And here's the thing. If we don't put the boundaries in the way we need to consciously, and that kind of alludes to what you said, Alex, then somebody else will put that boundary in for us. And that's the problem right here. If you don't set your own boundaries, other people will. And what they'll do is they'll test that bound. Either they will set a boundary beyond which you can't approach or go beyond. So they'll limit you because they've already defined. Parents, when we were young, they might have set a boundary and said, you'll never get that far, son. Just stick to being, I mean, I'm an Indian, right? So as Indians, we're encouraged to do law, IT, finance, pharmacy, whatever, accounting, to stay safe. They said, nah, don't go down to art. Don't go down to performing arts. Don't become a musician. You'll never get any money out of it. Forget about that. So they already set psychological boundaries for us kids as we were growing up.
Yeah.
And maybe some of you can relate to how your own parents or family or sibling or sister, not even because they wanted to hurt you, but because they thought in their own limited pocket worldview, they projected their beliefs onto you. Suddenly, you've now got a psychological boundary set by somebody else. And now you're living according to that boundary. Now, let's look at the flip side of that. You don't set your own boundary and you wonder why certain people are in your face all the time. Certain people are taking advantage of you all the time. Sonia said it nicely. She's an empath. Sometimes we don't set boundaries for ourselves, and then you wonder, why do people keep constantly taking the mick out of me? Why do people always take advantage of me, take the piss out of me, use me, abuse me, take advantage? Because we haven't set sufficiently strong boundaries. And where those boundaries have been set and they've been crossed, we've got to learn to be able to give those people a bit of an electric shock to say, hey, don't go past that boundary again.
But, you know, there's a dichotomy here. There's two things. Now, I was always encouraged not to be an actor by my school teachers, not to pursue that as a career, because that's not a real career. It's hard to survive, and lots of people didn't believe in me. My mum did. My mum, not mega money, she funded me to go to acting school, and I'm so grateful to her. Because she believed in me. Look at Arnold Schwarzenegger, one of my heroes. Never have a plan B, because if you have a plan B, you'll never make plan A work. He was Austrian. He wanted to get into movies. Well, first of all, he wanted to get into bodybuilding. Bodybuilding? That's crazy. You're not going to do that. That's an American thing. And then he obviously become the biggest bodybuilder in the world. He then got into acting. But they were like, you're crazy. So you're not an actor. You've got an Austrian accent. He believed in himself. Now, why am I saying this? Because of boundaries. Just tonight, I went to an MMA class, and my trainer, a bit of a love-hate. I love him, but he almost told me off. And I'm like, I felt a little bit electric shock of the cattle fence, of being a sheep or a pig, going too far. I was doing a technique basically, and I was going a little bit too hard with my opponent, who was actually up for it. We were trying to make it real, but we were totally in control and totally enjoying it, and we were making sure that the technique we were using was working. He saw it and he said, if you do that again, I don't want you in my class. I thought, all right, no worries. It almost insulted me a little bit. I'm like, hang on a minute. How dare you?
But wait,
But I gave him respect, and I thought about, okay, that's how he wants me to do it. And my ego took a bashing. So I started not going as hard and going lighter again. And I got stuff. We weren't going crazy. So I thought, you can't see what we're actually doing. So my question is, we were pushing ourselves safely with a very another advanced opponent, but my who was the conductor of the session, he didn't want us to do it like that. And I'm like, well, that's when I'm wondering, do you push boundaries?
Sometimes you do, right? So boundaries can be pushed, but there are different categories and classes of boundaries. Your coach just set a boundary there, right? He's setting the line. He goes, hey, if you do that again, don't come back to my class.
Yeah.
That's an example of somebody setting a healthy boundary, not threatening you with ego. That's not a boundary through ego. That's a boundary set for him. It's a healthy boundary. That's what's a healthy boundary, right? He wants you to learn and train and perform in a certain way. He set a boundary, so you try and adhere to that. But by the same token, people set boundaries in terms of limits. That's a different kind of boundary, right? A limit. And there, we're encouraged to go past that, right? So we create our own.
For a second, he was a soldier in the Austrian army, and he believed in his bodybuilding so much he defied orders that he would go to a bodybuilding competition. He went AWOL to go and win and he won a bodybuilding competition. He broke a boundary, and he came back, and well, the rest is history. He got told off, but the fact that he got chastised, and that's
kind of like Jean-Claude Van Damme in Lionheart. It's like Jean-Claude Van Damme in the movie Lionheart, right?
Yeah.
You remember that movie?
I love it. One of my favorite movies. He went AWOL, but I mean, he was doing it for obviously sometimes you need to break the rules. I totally understand it, because life is unjust, and that's another subject. And I understand if there's injustice and the people who make the rules aren't necessarily got your best interests at heart. Look at every war, but I'm not going to go there. My point is, just to be successful, if you always obey, I'm not trying to be a rebel, but if you see a better way to do something, listen, we used to arrest homosexuals and chop people's heads off, and because that's how we fought things. We've evolved. We change. There's different paradigms, different belief patterns, and that's so you're breaking boundaries. You're breaking thought.
You're breaking boundaries, yeah.
But so I know the subject was about keeping boundaries, and I know for anyone who's just joined us, I share way too much. I talk too much about my private life, and it's got me in trouble many times in the past. I've learned very painfully to.
So I think it's a lesson. I'm mindful of time here as well, on the live here, but I think there's a couple of lessons here to pick up. Right, one of the lessons is learning to set healthy boundaries. I think Parate BT, she said it really well here. She's on the live here at the moment. Boundaries are essential in life, just not solid ones. Your boundaries should adapt to your surroundings, physical and emotional ones as well. Absolutely on the money right there, what you just said there. And this is the point, we need to learn to establish boundaries for our psychological, emotional, and physical well-being with the people around us, both in our career, in our day job, in our family at home, knowing where we can draw the line with people, where they can draw the line with us. But then we also need to learn how to break the boundaries other people set upon us that are psychological. They're not boundaries really, they're limits. People have set limits upon us. They're saying that you can't go beyond this pay grade. You can't become an actor at this level. You can't become this. And they're not even spoken. The thing is, they're done in disguise. And this is the frustrating thing, right? People, how many, if you have been told, oh, that's not bad, but stick to the day job. We say that as a joke, right? It's good, but stick to the day job. There you go. That's the boundary. That's the limit.
Society, your boss, your partner, they can set boundaries. But if you've got your own boundaries and your own belief patterns and they go against your own boundaries, then you need to set the boundaries. Like, well, I'm not standing for that. Listen, I'm a good guy. I take so much, but I'm not going to, there's a point where you cross the line. And that's totally. And then you walk, if you can. I get it. And you'll have, hopefully, you'll have a much more productive, enjoyable life.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's the point here. And I think that's one of the things we want to cover. And I think we'll touch on this. This is a really good subject, Alex. And maybe it's something we do want to elaborate on our retreat, to talk about boundaries. Where we're in a place where actually there are no boundaries. It's a beautiful, open place out there in the amazing countryside. And I think it would be a great subject to take this subject and help people to establish healthy boundaries and take those back home to their work, to their life, to their home, to their relationships. You know, especially people out there who've been abused or misused by your loved one, your so-called lover. They've taken advantage of you, or they've treated you a little bit badly. Some of you they've treated like dirt because we didn't establish boundaries, or we didn't realize that when they've crossed the boundary, it's like in baseball, right? 3 strikes and you're out. If they cross that boundary 3 times, that's it, walk, cut. And those are the things that I think we want to learn. Alex, we need to include this in our retreat. Let's talk about that for a second.
Just going back to Arnold Schwarzenegger, really defied soldiers' orders, generals' orders to go and become a world bodybuilding champion. And he sometimes breaking boundaries, because you have your own boundaries, you've got your own goals in your mindset. You're going to have to break other people's boundaries. It can be painful. Yeah. It can be scary. And you can like, I've got some big boundaries I'm thinking of breaking, but that's another story.
That's another story. Yeah.
How do you get the faith and the belief? I mean, I know this. I'm asking this as a generic question. You're scared to take action, but you for instance, my trainer just told me off, and I thought about going and saying something to him at the end. Should I talk to him? No, just let it go. Let it go. Let it go.
I think sometimes, yeah, I think there's multiple ways. And look, let's share one of them. Time prevents us from going on this subject in more detail here. But for example, one of the ways to do it is real simple. Folks, have you ever in your back garden, have you ever tried to plant some flowers or herbs or vegetables and found that they don't grow in a certain area of your garden? What do? You just move to another area of the garden, or you try a different product. It's the same thing with setting boundaries. You set a boundary over here, you give it a definition, and you tell the people around your circle of influence that this is the boundary I've set. You test that boundary and see, or rather see who tests the boundary. If you find that that boundary isn't strong enough to stop people from taking advantage of you, or whatever that boundary is for you in your life, guess what? Change that boundary. Either make that boundary more sterner or less sterner. Sometimes we create too big a boundary and then we're actually missing out on good people in our life. People think we're just a strict asshole. Other times we're so boundaryless that people just come and take us as they like. They say, it's okay to turn up late for Alex. Alex will just always be there. Doesn't matter. Alex doesn't set boundaries, so people turn up to meet Alex on appointments anytime they damn well please, because they know Alex doesn't take his time seriously. The moment Alex puts a boundary and shows them just 2 or 3 times that if you're late for my meeting, I'm gone.
I got it. And
that
going back
set,
to my trainer, I respect his authority and okay, that's his gym, that's his way. Okay, that's how he wants to do it. I don't have to be there. But I actually am getting a lot from it. I'm getting more than my ego. Even though it's bashed my ego, I can take that.
You're getting more. So you take a trade-off. And I think that's another part of it, right? You establish boundaries with people in your life, in your career, wherever. And this is what I teach my coaching. Our coaching clients, a lot of the clients that we get for our coaching are people in the city. They've got these busy, stressful jobs, but they're rubbish at setting boundaries in their home life, for example. And then we get the other way around. We got people who are entrepreneurs. They've given up their day job and they're rubbish at setting boundaries in their corporate life. So they've got business clients and potential clients just taking the mickey, running circles around them. And I think it goes back to what you said. You go set a boundary, you test that boundary out by seeing how people respond, and then you modify that boundary accordingly. And that's just something you can do, just bringing that forward. I think, Alex, on that note, did we want to just touch and share how we're going to...
We've got some boundaries on a retreat on the 17th to the 20th of September in Hungary. If you want to come, we've got some big boundaries, because you're going to turn up an ordinary guy and you're going to leave a superhero.
Absolutely.
What are they going to get, Prash, if they come on the 17th to the 20th of September to Hungary?
17th to 20th. So real quick, because it's raining where I am outdoors, 3 days where it's not going to be raining. Hungary in September is absolutely gorgeous. The sunshine, it's gorgeous. So what we're going to be doing, 17th to the 20th, we're going to split our day into something to strengthen us physically, emotionally, spiritually, and mentally. And so we'll do yoga, we'll do meditation, we'll show you how to do conscious hiking, Fitness with Alex, of course, where we'll be pushing your boundaries. We'll work with you in your mind and in your heart to establish strong boundaries to help you to become a stronger
cut in
version
there
of
for a
yourself.
second. If it's not fitness, you can go on any fitness retreat. But there's a million of those. I think Mr. Miyagi, the lessons he will give you. I don't consider myself a guru. I've had enough pain and enough suffering, and I've learned how to get back up off the floor when crap hits you. And how I want to teach you the things I've learned from all many different gurus, teachers, spiritual dudes, trainers, assholes, from bad people, from the media, from lawyers, from all of the pain and suffering, how I've dealt with that, and how you basically, Mr. Miyagi, I talk. We're going to be doing exercise, but how to use that in a metaphor that Mr. Miyagi would say, wax on, but he'd also give you a spiritual lesson at the same time.
Absolutely. Yeah, so there'll be lots going on. There'll be great food. There'll be great company. And it's going to be a small, intimate retreat where we get to know each other and we get to spend time. We'll stretch our comfort zones. It's going to be a very beautiful experience. And it's real easy. It's just 2 hours south of Budapest. You'd never believe there's such a place like this that exists out there.
It is
with
currently
absolutely
549. That is a bargain. The full price is 749. I've wanted to knock off as much as possible because this is my first retreat with Prash. I've done retreats before, but this is my first retreat in Prash in Hungary, and I wanted to try and make it as affordable. That is a bargain. All you have to pay for, we're going to provide your transfers to and from the airport. You need to get to Budapest on the 17th. By what time?
That's all details. We'll figure it out. But you just want to be there by 1. We'll look after you. And long and story short, you've got the message here. Just we'll put it in the group here.
At the moment. I'm literally booking a flight at the moment for £35 there and back on Skyscanner. It's ridiculous. So that's all you got to pay for. They will go up. I mean, you might not be able to get one. They might be up to £100, but now's the time to book. If you're interested, please message me or message Prash and come and enjoy a spiritual, rejuvenating, fantastic mind, body, and spirit detox.
Amen.
Powered. Oh yeah.
Big time. Peace out, guys.